Determine the velocity of a wave in the simulation. First of all, make sure your simulation is set up like this. Oscillate, no end. Amplitude shouldn't matter. We will change the frequency. I'll explain more about the frequency at the end. Damping should be set to none. The tension should be set to whatever was appropriate based on the first initial of your name. The ruler should be set up so that the 0 mark is directly above the piston and the bottom of the ruler is just about above the tops of the wave crests. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure how long it takes the wave to go 5 centimeters. Remember, velocity is distance over time, so we're going to have a distance of 5 centimeters. We're going to measure a time, and we're going to use a spreadsheet to calculate a distance based on those two numbers. So, we're going to watch this wave as it forms its crest and travels across. We're going to start the stopwatch when the wave forms to the left, and we're going to stop it when it reaches 5 centimeters. So I place my mouse on the play button of the stopwatch, and I watch for the wave to form. Next time around, start. And then I watch the wave traveling across the screen to 5 centimeters and stop. 1.34 seconds. I go to my data table. I enter the frequency of 1.5 centimeters. I go over to the distance. I enter 5 centimeters. I go to time. I enter 1.34. I'll round that down to 1.3. That's okay. Now I'm going to use this to calculate the velocity. So, do a calculation. I need to start by pressing equals. That lets the computer know we're calculating now. And then I'm going to click on the distance number, 5 centimeters. It's going to fill in that that box is going to be the start of our calculation, G7. It's going to color code G7 to the dashed line around the box. Now I press divide by, or the slash, the time. I click on 1.3 seconds, or H7. Color codes H7 purple to match the dotted line around that box. Press enter, and now I have a wave velocity figure. I'll repeat this process 4 more times using different frequencies. Now here, we're going to have to think about, are you using low tension, medium tension, or high tension? If you're using low tension, you will notice that even at 1.5 hertz, your waves are fairly small. That is, their wavelength is short. If we put the frequency up very high, all the way to the top, say, it becomes kind of difficult to tell where your wave crests are because of the way these things are bouncing around. So you're going to have to choose a frequency that's smaller, lower than the 3 hertz maximum frequency. Even 2.3 hertz is a little bit hard to tell, but you can kind of follow it. So you need to decide what you're comfortable with. I would say, for those of you using low tension, that maybe 2 hertz is the high frequency that you use. You can probably get a decent measurement off of that. And then you can probably set a frequency, a low frequency, of maybe 0.2 hertz. You might be able to go a little lower, but you want to be able to really see the peak of your wave. You don't want it so flat that it's hard to tell where the peak is. So you don't want to go too low and end up with a really long wave. But we can measure this. This is fairly clear. So that's for the people using low tension. People using medium tension, you can't use a frequency quite that low very easily because look how flat that is. So your lowest frequency on medium tension, let's try 0.5 hertz. that's probably fairly clear where that crest is. You could use something as low as 0.5, maybe a little lower. And if you go all the way up to 3 Hertz, that's a clear enough wave. Now if you're using high tension, 3 Hertz is no problem. Those are very clear waves. However, even 0.5 Hertz is a pretty flat wave. You might be able to measure the crest of that wave, but I would suggest a frequency no lower than 0.9 Hertz. So you'll need to pick out 5 frequencies between your lowest and your highest. And you'll enter those frequencies in your data table. You'll probably should just use 5 centimeters for your distance every time, and you'll enter in the time that you measure. Now once you've got a time, you can reset this using this button here, and then you can repeat the process. So now this wave begins now, and stop. Now remember, I got a different time this time, but I also had a different tension setting. You should keep the same tension setting the whole time. All right, I think you've got it.